I guess it's now safe to say former WBO 135-pound lightweight champion Terence Bud Crawford, 25-0 with 17 knockouts, will be vacating his WBO Lightweight title after defeating Ray Beltran, the rightful #1 contender, and actually should have been the champion November the 29th, 2014 on HBO Championship Boxing in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live, and this guy's good. He's good. He's too good. He's really, really good. With his 140 pounds hold for him, I actually think 140 and 147 is the natural divisions for him. Remember, he fought Breedis Prescott at 140 pounds. But if you don't know, it looks like he had a little bit of trouble making weight yesterday, November the 28th. He weighed in at exactly 135, and then automatically he went right for the fluids. He couldn't even do the face-off first. He had to get those fluids down. Then you saw him up there just breathing and panting, and you can tell that it was just something, you know, that was eating him alive, making that weight, you know. So he's moving up to 140 pounds. He said it's definite. He came into the ring at 153 on the unofficial scales, but the unofficial scales are sometimes 2 to maybe 5 hours before the actual fight. So he may have came into the ring at full junior middleweight at 154 pounds. So I look at it like this. What's next for him? Well, you can cancel out Danny Garcia. You can cancel out Lamont Peterson, Adrian Broner, Lucas Matisse. Who else? Basically, all the 140 pounders that's under the Al Heyman stable. Now, what you could get him versus Mauricio Herrera in a fighting for that the WBA interim belt. Remember, Danny Garcia has the full WBA belt. So, you know, it's that situation. Maybe he can fight Victor Postol for the #1 contenders that he was bought out for the Danny Garcia's WBC title. So there are fights out there for him, but when it comes to 140 pounders, Al Heyman, thank you Al Heyman so much, pretty much dominates those fighters in that division. So let's talk about Ray Beltran. Work rate. Now you can say Terence Crawford's jab and his distance and his reach was keeping Beltran away from him, so he couldn't really display that much of a work rate. But yet there would be times where Beltran was following Crawford around the ring, and then he'll have him in the corner, and then he'll throw one punch and then allow himself to be tied up. Crawford was spinning, and you know, that basically was the story of the night. So I look at it like this. Beltran is good. He did rock Crawford a couple of times, and once again we saw in another fight that we saw Bud Crawford has a chin, just like we saw with Yuriorkis Gamboa. He could take some shots. Now, Beltran was getting jabbed to death. His right eye was completely closed, and also he was getting outclassed by a fighter who's naturally an orthodox fighter, fighting southpaw, just like earlier today when Tyson Fury, in heavyweight, a 6'9" heavyweight, defeated Derek Chisora just fighting southpaw, and he's a right-handed fighter. Terence Crawford is gifted. Looking at him and matching him up against majority of the 140 pounders, he can most likely beat him. He may beat him. That's how good he is. Please subscribe. I cover every single major fight live, all my videos, boxing articles, interviews, all right down below. It's the first link in the description box. Real Combat Media, website I'm associated with. So I'm going to say this. The big talk now is you hear Manny Pacquiao, if he doesn't get full weight Mayweather, is going to be moving down to 140 pounds. You've been hearing Manny Pacquiao versus Jesse Vargas a lot. Doesn't make any sense, and nobody wants to see it. So therefore, if you're going to throw Manny Pacquiao in there against 140 pounder, why not Terence Crawford? Terence Crawford is on his way to maybe being the fighter of the year. Remember, going over to Scotland, what was that? If I'm correct, that was back in March or February. I believe it was in March, taking the belt that should have belonged to Ray Beltran because Ray Beltran broke Ricky Burns' jaw. So he got that belt in Scotland, came back and fought Yuriorkis Gamboa, who was undefeated, highly decorated amateur, and basically hot stuff when it comes to pro boxing. And now Ray Beltran, who should have been the rightful 135-pound WBO champion, but he gave him his shot after beating Gamboa because he wanted to fight in Omaha. So they said, all right, we're going to put you in Omaha. We don't know how tickets going to sell, so we got to match you against somebody good like Gamboa that can sell tickets. So now that he's defended his title against Gamboa, You know, he won the title, defended his title against Gamboa, and fought the guy and beat up the guy who should have been the champion. He handled the business as far as 135 pounds is concerned. Now, there would have been other fights I would have liked to see, like, you know, him and Omar Figueroa, but he's moving up to 140 pounds and he's injured. But then, once again, it's those Al Heyman fighters. And then also his manager, if I'm correct, his manager is Cameron Duncan, yeah. So he has beef, from what I understand, with Al Heyman and Al Heyman fighters. So, I mean, realistically, there's not really much to talk about with this fight outside the fact that Terence Crawford put on a boxing exhibition. Beltran won 2 rounds, if that. I'll actually post the official cards down below. But I got to get ready to do something called Google Hangout. I'm going to be on for about an hour or so. And what Google Hangout is, immediately after this video, I'm going to do a live streaming post-fight discussion with other boxing fans. And we're going to talk about boxing and talk about boxing news and the events of the day. So once again, I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. Please subscribe.